Hi, listener. This is From Ideology to Unity, a spiritual journey where we let go of ideological doctrine and ego in favor of meaning, purpose, and unity as a whole. Today, I'm interviewing Christopher Pigott, a philosophical freethinker and practitioner of spiritual guidance meditation. He runs a website, spiritualguidancemeditation.com. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, thanks for the intro.
Did I get your name right?
You got my name right, yeah?
Okay. So, what do you say your core values are?
Um, Being in touch with humanity, being in touch with myself, who I am.
So, how did you get in touch with who you really are?
Um, well, mainly trying to keep an open mind and not worry about what other people think too much, or uh, and think for myself, ask myself questions. Keep the thoughts going that I want to be thinking, and not let myself be influenced as too much by what other people may try and because I don't think people should tell me what to think. I think it's up to me, isn't it? So I mean, they're going to be an influence, but other people always influences. But it shouldn't be the de facto. They tell me what to say, and that's it. I think it should be more than that. It should be that we have a chance to think things through and come up with a different, maybe different sides than just a one side. So I think a lot of people one sided. They see the one side of how things are, and don't ever see uh, anything else around it, and don't ever question, and they just see the one point of view, their own, and often it's what they've been told to think
Is
as
it
well. That's why it's
disappointing
difficult.
or frustrating for you?
Well, no, it's. I think it's just some people aren't ready to be thinking more freely about who they are and what their purpose is and what their potential is. And I think that we should be thinking about what we're capable of, and that a human potential is, I think, limitless. Really, we can do as much. We can do so much, and think about so many different things, um, that subjects and whatever really. And yeah, so people's opinions, they sometimes seem to be just one sided. And I just find that's one of my major challenge for me to try and convince people that maybe things aren't quite what they seem, or maybe there's more to it than what we've been told by other people. And
Yeah.
as that's where I feel like the one sidedness comes from, is that we just accept face value what people say without a question, without thinking outside of it.
And people see, so you're talking about people going on intellectual authority and just believing that
Yeah,
just because they're in a certain camp.
yeah,
Is there a potential danger though of creating our own camp? Like if we're
yeah,
free thinking, but like potentially creating our own ideology and getting stuck in that.
yeah. That's that is when you got. That's why you got to question yourself, keep questioning yourself, and uh, then you're not bound by restrictions of what you commonly agree to with other people. I mean, that to get along, I think we have to come to some sort of agreement with other people, and it's sometimes it favors the majority of people, and other times it doesn't favor them. So it's just, yeah, it's just not quite. I think that's reflect sort of what's going on now in the sort of world social situation. It's not. I mean, who I say, it's quite a difficult situation. A lot of people going through difficult times, when authorities are told you have to do this, social distance, and give you a dress code, uh, masks, face diapers, whatever they call it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm under the impression that you've got quite strong opinions about COVID and all that.
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, and then most people, a lot of people won't agree with it. Even people in my family and people, relatives, and even friends may not necessarily agree with what my way I think or what I think of things. But I just try and make sure that I stick to myself and my own beliefs, and realize I'm not alone in them as well, because there's lots of different people that share the same outlook on life and how to approach how we view things.
So is it a political standpoint, or is it more of a conspiracy theory, or is it a bit of both?
Um, well, the yeah, I mean, I like politics and I like spirituality, so I think it helps to be open-minded to approach both of those, both politics and spirituality, and sometimes they can intertwine as well. So if I'm thinking about a political opinion, sometimes it helps to be a bit spiritual to help clarify what it is.
I agree, though a lot of people associate, if they associate religion with politics, they just think of traditional conservatives like Christian, no, the fundamentalist Christians, right? So how is it
Okay.
different in your case from that?
Well, I see it as Christianity is like a part of society, a part of Western society, and it's been involved entrenched within our society for centuries, and it's part of the culture, and so it's very difficult. Would be very difficult to ignore Christianity, although it's an ideology, is my opinion. It's what it's put out to society, and it's so entrenched that we yeah, I feel like it's not everything, but it is part of like an upbringing that I've had, because I've been uh, my family's basically, although I haven't been baptized, my family is very sort of come from a Christian, sort of Protestant Christian uh, background, and what other families were like as well, um, for a long time. So just we all, I mean, we all celebrate Christmas and uh, Easter, and so it seems part, even though you maybe not be one of these people that are devoted to their religions, um, it just feels like something that is part of the culture, and you just get involved with it, and it could be fun and good time to do that sort of thing.
So what was your spiritual journey?
Well, yeah. So I just feel like we can all have our own journey, our own way of going through uh, whatever it is we have to go through, and it's yeah, it's spiritual. For me, my own journey is partly keeping your own open mind, but also to reflect quite a lot. I've been reflecting quite a lot on nature, and that seems to help as well. To like if you go out and on walk, and that's more of a physical journey. You're actually physically going to a place, and you're visiting the nature, you're seeing what your surroundings, and you're meeting people, seeing how they are. Um, so that's a journey for me. I think there are all sorts of different uh, journeys that we can go through. I think if we can sort of express our own journeys and connect with each other that way, it's a way of connecting with each other by expressing our journeys. In fact, in a way, if you see.
So the connections that we all have as a larger whole is something that's important to you.
Uh, yeah, as a whole, yeah, as a wholeness. So, yeah,
Yeah,
as a
so
wholeness.
this sense of oneness, is it it sounds like your perspective on this is a form of mysticism.
Okay, yeah. I'm not sure what that means, but
Okay.
so
So
yeah,
how do you compare your perspective on spirituality compared to traditional monotheism?
um, yeah. That's a good question. I'm not sure if I'm too wise up at monotheism. Yeah, um, yeah. I don't know. I don't. I'm not an expert on that either. But
Okay, classical monotheism is this Christianity and Islam,
okay,
whereas you seem to be into yoga and stuff like that. So
yeah. I just go with what I think's the best thing to do. What I don't try and follow any two ideologies too much or anything like that. Just go with like what my heart says, gut instinct, and maybe a little bit of my mind process things. Because I think uh, when you become aware of things, you can differentiate between things in your mind. And yeah, um, maybe that's a bit out there, but
no, it's fine because you're not really, you don't seem to be labeling it that much. Like I was asking you, like which label you identify with in a sense, but
yeah,
you don't, which is actually a better perspective because the truth is, in my opinion, all these different spiritualities, like they're all different takes on the same thing, right?
they are. I say as far as I can understand it, is that it all comes from um, Jerusalem. That's
Really?
my understanding of the history. Because I did a bit of reading into it recently, actually, about timelines, uh, and it's if you look at a basic time, some of the basic timelines I found, it seems to root back to all of things like Christianity, Judaism, and Islam seems to root to coming from the same source. In fact, the
What
same
are
source,
Eastern
Jerusalem.
religions then?
Sorry.
Eastern religions like Buddhism, though, have a different.
Yeah, that I'm not so sure about. I think that could be different. Yeah, like Buddhism, Hinduism, and
Have you heard about the Great Flood myth, which seems to come before Judaism, like even as far back as
flood myth. Yeah, that could be
the
so. I'm not an
Sumerians, or maybe
expert.
even the story of
On that.
Atlantis,
Yeah,
underneath the sea.
yeah, it's great. I love those. I love all sorts of stories that come with religion. They're nice to I can appreciate them. But yeah, I just take them with a pinch of salt. Don't try and go too much into take them too much to heart or anything. Just
Yeah. Would you agree that, people, whether it's politics or spirituality, like people often have been taught what to believe by authority and then they just fight
yeah.
over it, over the minutiae, when really we can just, we're all
Decide for
one, right?
yourself. I would just decide for myself rather than it's like having a group think, isn't it? Almost. Well, I'm
Mm.
not sure if I've got that correct, but it's like yeah, one particular groups of people, which is recognised as a religious group, um, like the priests. I mean, it's almost like a separate class of people. We've got to follow what they say, and if we want to be if we want to be religious at all, or want to be spiritual, and I think we're moving away. I think people are moving away from that and have been gradually. And what has happened um, during the difficult times, I think it's made people maybe go more towards spiritualism and being open minded as well, being more awake. Not this. There's this whole thing of wokeness. I think why they say that. So it seems like it does. I would agree with the notion. It's a mispronunciation. It's of awake, but it's still
Well,
past tense.
I feel like
It's just being
it's
grammatical.
slightly different. I don't know exactly, but I feel like maybe it
Yeah.
started with the hippies, but then it changed to be more of a left wing thing. And
Uh,
then it moved back into spirituality again when some left wing people, so to speak, got into spirituality again. And so it's become a bit vague and meaningless now. Moving on, there was a symbol I saw on your Facebook page, which is this Celtic symbol. Um,
Yeah,
so what was that symbol and what was the significance of it?
yeah. As if I can remember to explain that. Yeah, it's about unifying between different energies, and yeah, it's love, peace, and harmony. As far as I can, yeah, that's it. Just sort of rang resonated with me, that particular symbol, because of its meaning and its connection with energies of love and that sort of thing. And yeah, sort of a Celtic. I can't remember the full definition off the top of my head, but yeah, that's what it's definitely involves that, and something to do with men as well. And if I can remember right, is a connection with different, but it could be or not sure it's genre specific. It could be anybody.
Yeah, we don't need to focus too much on that. I just thought
All
maybe
right, sure.
we we could talk about that. But um so how much do you meditate?
Well, yeah, I do meditate sometimes, and that does help to clarify if I've been reading whatever it is, and it just helps to um, for the information to digest, and or just to be centered, and it can be anywhere, like in a chair, in bed, or outside. Just spend a minute, just be still, and you're saying, just try to let things happen. It's a John Lennon's phrase, "Let it be," the song, Beatles song, and it just makes sense, to sometimes let the thoughts just flow rather than to force it, and it can help with your whole well-being and avoid stress, and it can help with your health, and which I think society has become pushing towards people being more stressed, and um, doing the 9 to 5 job, and or basically working a bit like lab rats, in my opinion. They're just constantly doing the daily grind for pennies,
Have you
when some
seen
people are billionaires.
this? There's actually a YouTube video where it showed like the rat race with actual rats in the city.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure if
it
you've
is.
seen it, but it's basically representing that whole thing where it's just this meaningless nihilistic experience, and there's this drudgery and they're distracting themselves with alcohol, whatever, right?
Yeah. So
And like, where's the meaning in life? And it's no wonder that people are moving towards spirituality again.
yeah, I prefer it as if we work to play and have a good time, not just work to work and work some more. Because then this defeats the whole purpose of what life is about. Is
Yeah.
you're doing it as where's the reward? You're not removing the 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 fun, which I feel like what's
You
happened
mentioned
with.
coming from the heart, and that's an important thing because fundamentally, the heart, you're where the chakras.
Yeah, I'm aware of them. Yeah,
So the heart chakra is fundamentally, we're moving into a more activated heart chakra as a society. That's the idea of the Great Awakening. And the more we can have our heart in what we do, my opinion is that the more we do that, the more enriched our lives will come.
yeah. I mean, there's the head, and there's the one, two, three hearts. One, I think it's about seven.
There's 7 of them.
Yeah,
Although there
thank you.
are other there are other ideas that there is actually more than that. There's like 9 or up to 12, but there's the 7 main ones, and then there's like these other ones. But yeah,
Yeah, well, it could be so many, couldn't there? It could be like whole line. I guess the idea is that is it could be a bit too many, I think, and it's better to have a few distinct ones, rather, because it could be just be like hot, because if there's lots and lots of dots and you look at it from a distance, it becomes almost look like one great big long line.
but maybe it kind of is one line, but
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it does. change, right? So
Yeah,
hmm.
yeah. Uh, it's strange the existence of the universe and how its true nature. It can be two things at the same time, and can be a mind bending to think it through, but try to attempt to, because the possibilities
Well,
are endless. So
we're used to thinking things in dualistic terms, but um, perhaps it's more about oneness. Anyway,
right.
moving on. You're into cryptocurrency.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I'm
what's
into it.
cryptocurrency about, and what's Bitcoin about? And
Well, it's been around for quite a long time. I think um, Akimoto, so if I can pronounce his name, Hashimoto Akimoto, as the inventor of it, or whatever it is, a pseudonym name. Um, Way back 2008, I think was when it was first came. I didn't know what it was then. It only really came into light what it's about in 2014. I think it was when I started to think, yeah, this is something. I started hearing it in the news a bit more. I think I may have heard it way back then in 2008, may have heard about some sort of digital alternative, but not really paying any attention to it.
hmm.
Um, yeah, so then it became something that people talked about more. Um, but no one really thought it was a bit strange because no one paid attention to it much because it was a bit sort of these criminals using it on Silk Road, and is it really something that I'd want to be associated with criminals? And it had a sort of a bad rap for quite a long time, and now I think it's become more and more um, mainstream, and it's with the blockchain technology, lots and lots of other uh, cryptographic, other than Bitcoin, which is a payment system. Uh, Lots of other ones like Ethereum, and still trying to think of XRP is one, and Stellar. Is it Stellar? Oh, yeah, that was another one. And then there's tons. There's absolutely tons. Uniswap's one, and they're all based on this blockchain technology, and it seems to be what a lot of companies are adopting towards now. And it's the whole idea of decentralizing, trying to take it away from a centralized, so give power to the people in a way. Which what
Right.
one of the things that draw me to it and think, yeah, power to the people, a bit like peer to peer sharing of files from Napster. Remember that?
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah,
So, I mean, the larger context I would say is that traditionally there have been central banks which have a monopoly of the money supply, right? Uh,
yeah,
so so they create money, so national currencies, and the idea is, I mean, the first alternative was generally to be considered to be gold or silver. Uh,
yeah,
there are people advocating gold and silver bullion or gold and silver instead of using um, paper currency, which can just be inflated into meaninglessness, right? You can create too much of it, and the value is lost. So, yeah, I mean, wasn't the cryptocurrency seems to be doing the same thing, seems to be imitating the way gold works. But I mean, in America, I mean, they at one point they confiscated all the gold, didn't they? So this is another attempt to.
yeah. Whether it's a load of rubbish and whether it's actually stays around forever, I don't know. Whether it's just a ploy from the government to actually try and install like their own currency, like a Fed coin, to control a system of control, or whether it's actual freedom is up for debate, I
Well,
think.
I mean, it could be both. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Could, well,
for everything that could be a threat to them, they're going to try to co-opt it, right?
yeah, yeah.
And
But whether it was literally someone in their basement or something coming up with their idea, whether the whole foundation of it was a governmental agency like the CIA who just
maybe,
came up with a pseudonym of Hashimoto, the guy, and it's been their plan all along. So it's surprising how often I think that's their plan all along, isn't it?
Yeah, but you have to believe in the ingenuity of the human spirit, I think. I would
Yeah,
say that like they are planning probably a
they're
cryptocurrency, a
scheming.
national
They're scheming.
currency, a digital one. They could probably plan to combine it with transhumanism so that cryptocurrency is linked to chips in our body or something horrific like that. But it would be their chosen controlled crypto. It wouldn't be something like it wouldn't be Monero, XRP, and all these. Actually, I'm not sure
Yeah,
if they're the same thing. And all these different cryptos, like
the Fed coin or something like that.
yeah,
Something else.
it, having a
Dogecoin.
portfolio of different cryptocurrencies, like that's contrary completely to their interests. This is why, first of all, they try to suppress it, and then they try to just control it by, yeah, getting a huge amount of investment in there.
Yeah. Well, I think banks are big tech companies are adopting. I think you'd appreciate this as well. Ethereum, which is I think is going to go up. I think it's cheap at the moment, and I think it's going to go up big time next year. I think that's right. Have you heard of Tika Tawari? Have you heard of him?
No,
Um,
I haven't.
yeah, I've been looking at some of his publications, and he seems to think the same. So I'm going with that. That seems like
What's your
best bet.
favorite cryptocurrency?
Sorry.
What's your favorite cryptocurrency?
Um, my fate. Uh, that's a good. I just go Bitcoin really, but if it's one that's yeah, Bitcoin, Ethereum. I think it's because they've been around for a long time, and it seems like it could be. Always had the notion it's an alternative to gold, but having a favorite, that's a difficult question, really, because that there everyone seems to, especially with the cryptos, all the different ones seem to have a good value in their own way. They can also be taken. Yeah, they're not. It's not all about always about whether they're successful in the. But I suppose that plays a part in it as well. Whether I
Maybe
pay
it's that
attention,
there's a
or pay
variety
attention
of
to
them.
people take attention. Yeah, there's a huge variety. I think I don't know the full extent of what they all do, but I think some of them have a specific purpose for businesses and providing services to people, and in, yeah, technology, software platforms, things like that, which I think Ethereum does that. Um, so yeah, yeah, that's the. I think chain link's a good one as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
That's gonna do. That's doing quite well at the moment. Anyway, I'm not sure how it's going to do
Then there are
next.
the ones that are linked to like particular services, like
Yeah,
DB.
I wouldn't know what they were, but yeah, they are linked to those.
Yeah. So from looking at your Facebook, it seems you've got an interest in the Great Pyramids and how they were built. What is it that's so special about the pyramid?
Yeah, that's got pyramids are good because they've got like a spiritual a connection to everything, um, the whole universe, and I think that there's a lot of science behind it backing up that it's definitely good for yeah, definitely good for uh, healing. It's been quite surprised that there's you put a jug in there and it can heal, uh, help get better water and things like that. I think it's, maybe I've never tried that myself, but it's supposed to have healing properties, I think, and
So it's something about the shape that just taps into
yeah, and its
the
alignment on the
order of the
planet.
universe or something.
Yeah, and the whole apparently it's astrological. I think there's quite a lot of things behind it. Being the whole they made it out of cement. Some of it was like a concrete for the first ever concrete, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, and it's a lot. I said a lot of science that just seems to point that towards that the Egyptians being really quite smart, and that 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 has a spiritual significance. That does to me. Uh,
I have you looked up of any of the anything on Gaia.com?
yeah, I like that. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they talk about that sort of thing.
yeah. David Wilcox is on Gaia. He's
Yeah.
interesting to listen to. Do you know if you've heard of him?
Yeah, I'm actually reading one of his books.
Yeah,
So
you best probably know more of it about him than I would ever know. But yeah, yeah, definitely that's definitely worth knowing about. I watch his videos, things like that, and he comes up with a lot. Last video he did came up a lot of information about the the election and disclosing the what these voting machines actually are and the history of them.
Dominion voting
Right,
machines and
right.
oh
You
the
know, yeah,
corruption, yeah.
yeah. There's yeah. Um, I don't know about what how much fraud there is in it or not. I don't know.
It
But
might turn out that it's not just America.
yeah, right. Yeah. I think it may be that. Well, I think that there is. It seems to be that there's a lot of fraud that does go on, and that in America. But I don't know. Yeah, it could be other countries as well. Yeah, they seem to say America has a huge influence over. Yeah, they do. They just have a huge influence over the whole world, don't they? It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's this. How deep do you think it goes, the conspiracy theories? Like people
Uh,
talk about George Soros, for example, being
yeah.
involved in the riots.
How deep does the conspiracy theories go? I don't. I wouldn't really know. To be honest, I mean,
Do you believe in
we could go on
5G?
for ages about that. Maybe we could go into that on another podcast because that's quite a heavy subject.
Well, there's no reason not to go heavy.
Yeah. Well, you can if you want, but yeah. Yeah, I don't I wouldn't know I wouldn't know that much
You don't feel
about that.
prepared right now?
Sorry.
Yeah, we can talk about it another time if you want.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot going on at the moment with all the different things. It's difficult to grasp what is um completely true and what is
That's
not.
true. One
Yeah,
thing you mentioned is that Klaus Schwab. You're not too fond of him.
um yeah. I mean, he's all right if you like um if you like
Dystopia.
humanity dying out, I suppose. So yeah, yes, it seems that he seems that's what it seems to be. That's the it's quite heavy. That
I
he's,
mean, there is a potential argument you could make, and it would be antinatalism. And if you were to say, okay, humans are causing so much suffering to animals and to ourselves that we're better off dead, if that were your perspective, it would kind of logically follow what he's advocating.
yeah,
But I don't know, maybe that's not it. I mean, it could be a reptilian plan to wipe out humanity and to manipulate the Cabal to do that. To go into David Icke territory.
okay. Yeah, they probably did. I think they probably would have definitely been that kind of influence. Yeah, I'd go with that. Um,
Just give me a sec. I didn't plug in my laptop. It should be all right, but ah. Okay. Yeah, don't worry. It's all good. Right. So, so you're suspicious about these elections. How do you feel about Trump? Because he's very polarizing.
uh, well, um, I think I like him. He's a bit of a mafioso, and can be a bit of a con man and a business, but he's a very successful businessman. And you know, I think anyone who's successful is worth maybe taking a bit of paying attention to. Um, they've obviously done something they've achieved something there. So yeah, I think he's probably a bit polarized, but and I think he's vilified by the media quite a lot, and I don't think that's not really fair. But mainstream media seems to be doing it, but that's how it is. It's in the moment it looks like Biden's going to be the president, so we just have to go along with what the
Well, I've heard certain
New World
things
Order says.
that
Yeah.
indicate that might not actually be the case.
Yeah, maybe not. But it's difficult to even think about that because that would mean that there's like a potentiality of war going on. Um, which for me I find, but that's just me. But it might just be just like a political thing where they just go, yeah, no, I'm just not having that anymore, and they could just say a few words, and that would be nice. And hopefully, don't have any because that
No,
is the
it's
huge risk.
the
There's a
claim
guy.
has been that there's going to be
Oh,
this.
sorry.
No, I mean I'm interrupting to be honest, but like the claim is that there's going to be this big operation against the deep state that's going to completely wreck them, basically, and that's happening very soon. What's the channel which I follow about this? Uh,
Yeah. Um, yeah, they're probably, it probably is. Um, there probably is. Yeah, probably is a move to take over the. I don't know how they're going to do that.
well, we don't know. Well, obviously we don't know. We have to admit that this is we're speculating at a certain point, and that's fine as long as we admit that's what we're doing. Okay, the guy who I'm following who talks about this is Michael K. Jacko, if case anyone's interested. Um, but yeah, so it's talking about there being widespread arrests and stuff like that. It's stuff on a similar vein to QAnon, but it's not actually QAnon stuff. But it's kind of because there's this idea of there are these groups that are kind of opposed to the cabal, and then the groups that are aligned with the cabal. It gets quite deep, this conspiracy theorist stuff, but I find it really interesting.
Yeah. So it is deep, and yeah. Uh, yeah. I know. I just think it's going to be sorted out one way or another, and whether Trump is in there or not, I think it's maybe a bit irrelevant. I think it could be that the people are going to get their way also.
Yeah, so it's up to us to decide our reality, and we determine our reality. Actually, yeah, to what extent do you think we determine our reality in a sort of psychic way, or with like the law of attraction?
Well, yeah, I think if it's all about do we one person allowing, it's almost like one person allowing another person to do sort of like a yeah sort of a spiritual connection that connects between two people, and does that make sense? Um, yeah, because we can definitely allow someone else to do something. Yeah, your thought it goes out there, and it should come back to you. Um, maybe you get what you want, whether people think. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I mean, that's
It
beyond
seems
me,
that you're
but
onto
I'm
something,
aware
and
of
you're
it.
just not sure how to phrase it.
Yeah. Um, well, is that they come back to you, the thoughts, and it's like everyone's involved in that. They're all thinking, and sometimes the people will, like, if you want $1 trillion, sometimes the people will allow it if you're doing it for, hopefully they'll allow it if that's what, it's like having like creating your own reality, that sort of
Right,
thing.
so waves of thought are coming out of you
Right.
and coming out of everyone, and they're all interacting, and there's a sort of transactional process going on. And
Yeah.
over time, based on the different emotional frequencies coming out, perhaps some things happen based on the interacting emotional frequencies. Yeah, that feels right. Does that sound
Yeah,
right to you?
yeah. That's cool, man.
Although
That
it
sounds right.
sounds maybe a bit like a word salad, but there really is something to it anyway.
No, no, I agree. That seems like we've got to I think do that for the um better of humanity. So we build a version of ourselves, a better humanity. A bit like Brian Rose's course, transforming ourselves, which I did this year. I appreciate that a lot.
Which course did you do?
Um, I was on a I was on a business
Oh,
course.
Business Accelerator.
Yeah, business accelerator. Were you on that?
I did broadcast yourself.
Oh, right, okay, no problems. Cool.
So
Um,
that's probably how I ended up friending you on Facebook.
yeah, yeah, no problems. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. You meet a bunch of great people, and even the Life Accelerator, I should have thought would have been a good course to do. And it's great. There's a big community there,
You
which has
know,
opened the doors up to a big community, which
a
we've
lot of
grown.
people have been quite critical of Brian Rose,
Of course, yeah.
and
It's
they're
challenging the
not. They
main.
might actually have some good points, but the thing is, he's still a good podcaster, and that at the end of the day, regardless of what you think of him as a person, he's a good podcaster. That's
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah,
opinion.
yeah. I mean, I don't think he's bad or anything like that. I think he's a genuine person that just wants to do well in his life, just like most people do, and he sometimes he accepts people with listening to people with alternative opinions, and that sometimes can, like anybody, can put them in a difficult spot. Especially with what's going on with the mainstream media and everything, and it's a difficult one. But yeah, but I appreciate that he puts them out, and I like the messages that are being portrayed. And obviously, there's the big one with David Icke and Brian Rose, the big interviews that they've got that have had a huge influence over everybody, of many people, millions of people, which is incredible. So and it's moving to think that sort of content is around, and
Yeah, actually, something to be grateful for, isn't it? Because
yeah,
there'd be a
yeah,
time when, despite how grim things seem, there'd be a time when none of that stuff wouldn't have been there.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's just a shame that it gets censored and people they're trying to take it down when it should people, which means they have to fight harder, which actually means that it has the counter effect. It actually means more people are wanting to find out the information, which is kind of strange, but that's because it's almost like an information war, and between the yeah and over centuries and
what I think about the elites is they've got themselves in a position where they've doubled down to such an extent that people have become more aware and more suspicious, which means that the only option they have is to double down even more and hope that they will scare people more than people will rise up. It's a huge gamble, and because they've invested so much in it, they
yeah,
have
yeah,
to
you're right.
keep going, right? The alternative would be they can't if they just backed off
Yeah,
and then just like stop trying to do terrible things for a bit and then hope it people just forgive them for it. Like they've gone too far to get away with that now. Like it's either they get away with all their shit and then people realize when it's too late, which I don't think is going to happen. I think, or they, you know, basically they're screwed. The elites are screwed.
yeah,
And
yeah.
as soon as, but yeah, I hope that people realize that because the sooner people realize that and they realize the truth, the better, because we'll be able to truly bring about an order that represents what we want collectively. What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, or an order that's better for humanity
Though who
that we
decides
want.
what it
Want
is? Because
yeah.
then there comes the question of what fills in the power vacuum.
Uh, power back. Got me. Power. What builds it in?
You know, because like Stalin, like came about during the Soviet Union and like or Hitler, like how do we be unified in our
That's it.
uh
That's the key. Is to be unified and not let evil or bad overwhelm you, and look towards the good, and look inspire towards what's good in life, and
so
um,
courage.
that would be good. Yeah, to
Yeah,
be
because like fear is they rule through fear, right? And fear is what essentially you could say the dark side is all about. I mean, I'm into something
yeah.
called the law
We
of
all
law.
we all have a dark side. It's all good. It's going to be there.
Yes,
It's
but
just a question of balancing it, and that should be my opinion. Is that should be this aware that it's there. It's like saying that like they call it in religion, it's a devil or a Satan or something like that. It's aware that I mean, if you pretend it's not there or it's not possible, or bad things are not possible, then that might creep up and bite you in the ass, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
So just a question of balancing it and keep. I mean, improving. I said improving yourself, transforming yourself for the better you. Um, always doing that, and that's and that may not be just I mean many various ways, they each have their own ways. It can be like a business, it can be like some people want to be wealthy, that's fine, but and also some people want to um just be spiritual, and all of that is it doesn't mean anything to them, because that's just not what their calling was in their life. It's not what they're drawn towards.
right. So when it comes down to it, it's about the people standing up for themselves.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Liberty, freedom, justice, and love and harmony of yourself. um, yeah,
Well,
because we've got to
yeah,
enjoy it. We're not life's too short. We've got to enjoy it.
yeah, I'm inclined to agree, definitely. And I feel like that's a good note to end this at. So
Yeah, you know. Well, mate, it's been good talking to you, and we should definitely have another chat sometime if you're up for it, and maybe when when some of this stuff with the current politics has cleared over a bit. I mean, if you what do you think thoughts about um like so I'm asking you a question now.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
uh, uh, so I was just thinking, how long do you think these measures will be? Do you think there'll be a change like in the new year, or will it be more this same uh,
There might
movie?
be the winter solstice on the 21st is astrologically quite significant. It's a conjunction of Jupiter and um, Saturn. Saturn. I have to admit, there's people who know a lot more about it than me, but I hear that's going to be very significant. It's not like end of the world or sudden transformation per se, but things are going to change quite a lot then, relatively. So I don't know if you're sure. This is what I've heard.
Solstice, yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
So anyway, yeah. So I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen in the next few days. To be honest,
yeah, yeah. I'm looking at it too. Yeah, I want the best for us, best for humanity, and
but we can't just wait and just hope it happens for external things. It's up to us, right?
yeah, yeah. It's taking the action, and not kowtowing to stupidity, basically.
Yeah. All right. Bye for
All
now.
right, bye.